Welcome, welcome. I'm Kayla Corbett. I am the founder and the CEO of the Operation Childcare Project. And we are joined here today by Maria, childcare advocate. Hi, Maria.
Hello.
Maria is very much in the throes of a relocation herself right now. And so I greatly appreciate your time joining us here today.
Absolutely.
So what I wanted to talk about briefly, and for those of us who aren't joining live and you need to join, or you're going to review this later, feel free to ask any questions in the comment section. We do circle back to that to give updates as needed. As PCS season is upon us, you may see something different when you log into your militarychildcare.com account to request care. What we know and what we see really frequently in our case management is that a lot of families are kind of anticipating they may not be able to get access to CDCs or FCC. And as a result, they've done a lot of legwork to figure out what civilian centers would be best for them that still fits the parameters of the MCCYN program. MCCYN might be a little the name may be a little unusual to you because what I see in my case management is this called just so many different things, right? So I've seen it called the military fee assistance. I've seen it called my CAA childcare assistance. Right. Maria, what do you see in social media?
Just everything from, free childcare to, the acronyms. There's it's the same letters, but in different ways. So
many different ways.
We're just here to clear that up. Absolutely.
Right. It's the same program, and honestly, and what we see, especially a lot of, is because childcare aware is the third-party administrator for the program. Some people say the childcare aware subsidy. So a lot of different names, but it is, at least in this sense, it is the same. We're talking about the same program, MCCYN, which is the subsidizing of civilian-based care when you can't get access otherwise. It is available in all 50 states.
Yeah. And Kayla, let me just jump in here because we just had the big announcement that for our Air Force and Space Force families, so our Department of the Air Force families, civilians now, they just created an opportunity for civilians to get access to MCCYN. And I know it's limited funds. And so we're excited to share with everyone on how to access that. It's really going to make a difference, especially for our folks over in the Space Force, where we're dealing with this beautiful thing of half military and half civilians, and trying to figure out how do we make sure that every guardian is taken care of, and they're able to serve because their needs are met. Their needs are met when it comes to childcare. So I think we're going to continue to help folks with that too shortly.
Is that out currently, or is it coming?
Yeah, it's been announced.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll share some more info right after this.
Wonderful. Okay. Okay, so the MCCYN program, that's what I want to touch on, just because this is going to look a little different than what you're probably used to. In case you don't know, when you are needing this kind of assistance, oops, wrong one. Here we go. You will be joining the wait list for all of these childcare. This is CCYH, but it is applicable to all of these childcare programs at militarychildcare.com. When you log into your militarychildcare.com, you will be prompted to, if you haven't already, create a profile. If you have created a profile, you will get on wait list by selecting your child that's already listed there. Select your anticipated date of when you need this care, and then by location. If you enter your address, your home address, to search near your home, you should just know it is going to reroute you to the nearest installation is what's going to show up. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at what is around. If you're looking to apply for the MCCYN, so the fee assistance, the civilian fee assistance, the childcare subsidy, it is all the names. Normally there is a section here that pops up, and that's why I shared my screen here. I grabbed a little screenshot so that you have something to reference. There is a little area that pops up that lists all of your options. So if you selected full-time care, and you were going to Fort Sam Houston, these are the options that would pop up. In these situations, you would click the box, request fee assistance. You would be prompted to look at centers, and then you would continue on to hit submit to request that assistance. So what we're seeing more and more of in our case management, and what I want to bring to everyone's attention, is the eligible the eligible and the non-eligible, enabled and non-enabled installations. Those are the words, enabled and not enabled. The fee assistance program is available in all 50 states. However, there are some locations where you're going to need to take extra steps if you want to get access. And the reason I'm bringing this up, and I have another screenshot here, is in case you log in here for Huacha. If you did the exact same process for Huacha, this is what comes up. And so you don't have the option to select MCCYN, even though it is available in that state. It is considered a non-enabled installation. So you may not know that you need to ask for help. You need to do extra steps here. You may think, oh, well, this isn't available here. And I gave you one more example here, Fort Leonard Wood. It does not show up as an option. So what we need to do is what we want to do is make sure that you have the tools needed to, one, understand what your options are, and two, what are the steps that you take in this situation.
Yeah, this is really, really important, because we've got families that are saying, look, I've got no options, right? That one location, I have one. So it's a CDC or bust. And I just learned this recently. So just like Kayla mentioned, you've got enabled and non-enabled. And so what this means is that whoever in the family is doing the work to access childcare, the research, the making decisions on what they actually need based on the commutes and the locations and the jobs and the schools, whoever that person is, whether it's the service member, whether it's the spouse or our single parents, what I'm seeing is that if you're on active duty or in the reserves or in the Guard, we've kind of been grown up knowing that there's exceptions to every policy. There's exceptions to every rule, right? And we've even heard it, CQ Brown, our current chairman of the Joint Chiefs, says there's 5 stages of no, right? And this applies here too. But what I care about for our families is that they are not alone and that there are options. And so in that case, whether it's a call to CCA, so the third party administrator, to say, hey, what are my options? That's what I saw this last week for a Maxwell family, right? Because Maxwell is not enabled.
Correct.
It's not enabled, which means you have to get this permission. And I think it's a little bit concerning to me that our families are being expected to know that, okay, don't freak out. There's an exception to every policy. And here's the over 25 ways that you can apply for one. That's what we really want to make sure, is that families know they have options, and then support them along the way when they're when it looks, first blush here on these options you just showed, that there are no options. So you can always ask for help, and more than likely we can help navigate those exceptions to policy with the language to make it really smooth. What we see on Facebook daily and is folks perhaps a little concerned and disappointed, and the timeline is taking them to get access to the fee assistance. 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, you name it. And there's no reason for that. So I think what we're focused on is the education and the support to be able to streamline that so that families are back focused on the mission.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that too. Let me make sure, So this is a link that I did drop in the comments, and it is a PDF item. So I'll see if there's another way I can attach it as these go out to these different channels. This is an older document. This is December of 2022. It is available online. It is a handout on which locations are enabled. It may be outdated. So don't take what you see here as, what you're going to see when you log into your military child care account. But this could be a good guideline. And much to Maria's point, what we are seeing in the case management are families who, one, didn't even know that this was an option. They logged in and they said, oh, well, that's not available here. It is in all 50 states. What is frequently confused is this and the MCCYN Plus program. Right. So the MCCYN Plus program is essentially an exception to policy program. So in certain states, in certain locations, if there isn't any accredited care that can participate in the MCCYN available to families, they could request access to the MCCYN Plus program, which really just expands the options of centers to them that include things that are still quality rated, still licensed. It's just a broader range. So there's a few more options for those who may not have any options at the time. Exceptions to policy is something that we do help families with in our case management. Kind of to Maria's point, families frequently feel like they don't have an option, that their first no is no. And I like that within our system, we're able to explain what that may look like down the road. Like if they get their first no, what would their second no come from? Where would their third no come from? How far do we need to go? Where do we decide to draw the line? and look at alternative options. We want to exhaust all of our resources. And for families, it is frequently just exhausting them. And so we are absolutely asking that families reach out to us. If they need any assistance, we will guide you in to sign up for these things. And honestly, collecting that information on where families are seeing issues really helps us when we do our advocacy. So we can say, families were confused at this point, or they got stuck here, and this is what the timeline looks like. So just don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to put our case management link up here. We did revamp our site here a bit, so it does look a little bit different than what it used to. And we have a new link. It used to be /contact. Now it's /case management. But of course, you can always reach out at our info. So info@occproject.org. Maria.
I mean, this is PCS season, right, Kayla? I'm just drowning in boxes. You're about to move out too. And so we really want to make sure families, as they're thinking about their options, looking at these next locations, whether it's for themselves or for their units, for the folks they supervise, or if you're a leader, this is a great time to ask those hard questions that maybe you haven't asked before. But there are so many options when it comes to fee assistance, and they're designed to just really help families be able to, again, focus on that mission because their family's taken care of. And so I get so sad every time I hear a family say, I had no idea there was fee assistance, or we just gave up. Like those are the last things we want our military families to be focused on, especially right now.
Yeah. And I, super anecdotally, just because it made me think of this it does break my heart when I see families come in. We had a family recently that we were helping, trying to get access at a non-enabled location. Mm-hmm. And they went back and forth on their own for probably 3 months, getting kicked from person to person to person and being told, no, it's a tech issue. No, it's this issue. No, it's this issue. Right. And then we finally got down to what it was, which was, it was not an enabled location and they needed an exception to policy. And they were
that stress and the cost. Yep. So that's kind of, just really quick, just before we sign off, that's the model, right? Get everyone in the room, which means we get the members, we get hopefully their entire family if possible. If needed, their leadership, right? Whether it's CCA, whether it's their service. If we can get everybody on the same page with some clear understanding, families are back on track within days. It's the way it should be.
It is. And we're happy to help. So Maria, as she gets more information on what the DoD civilian program looks like, we are going to share that. We always do free sharing of all of our resources. Any questions you have about anything we've discussed, feel free to drop that in the comments. And if you, again, are a family who does need help with any aspect of what this looks like, or you just, at this point, after hearing this, you think this is way too much, I can't handle it. Still, please reach out through case management. It is not a you issue. It is a very complicated system. So don't feel like you are the one who can't navigate it. What we can see from case management is evidently there are a lot of families who are struggling. So you are not alone. Please reach out and we'll be available to help. Thank you for joining us. Bye.